Red
still
door, yeah.
more insidiousness, super silly insidiousness. But listen, we're going to give a disclaimer right now. We're going to try to have a little conversation before we go to Patreon, and we're going to be very, very specific here. If you have not seen the movie, what is it? No one can save you.
No one will save you.
No one will save you. Be forewarned. We're going to talk about the ending. We're going to talk a little bit about the movie. It just came out last weekend. All three of us checked it out on Hulu. A lot of buzz, a lot of hype on this movie. Some of it deserved, some of it probably not deserved. So please, we're going to get to it. Okay. So we just want to let you know, we generally never ruin a movie for anybody, but this is a case where we think it was important to bring up some stuff because this is a very interesting film. So this was an alien abduction film directly shot, sent to Hulu that looked like a can't miss movie. All three of us saw it. And it was a very different experience than I think, initially anticipated. And Shah, I'm just going to start with you without giving any too much away. Your overall take of the film.
Well, again, we're gonna spoil some things because obviously, if you're still listening, we assume you've seen this because this was nothing like I expected. I mean, from the trailer alone, I thought they had pretty much given everything away. I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those trailers where they showed all the cool parts. 5 minutes into the movie, I'm like, holy shit, they showed most of what I saw in the trailer. Like, where are they going from? I had really high hopes for this, man. A couple minutes into the movie, when they first show the alien like getting into the house and they show like the back of the skull, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be a fucking 10 out of 10. This is gonna be a banger. My main issue with this movie is it was just too much. It was just way too much. You saw the alien I think the alien was basically the main character.
Well, there was 3 aliens. There's 3 aliens.
Well, there were several. There was a midget one. There was a fucking.
There's an in-between one and the daddy long legs ones, which I think looked fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking absolutely incredible.
I don't know, man. Sometimes less is more, and this is one of those cases where they had mediocre CGI. It wasn't absolutely like terrible, but it's definitely not good enough to make it the center of your film for fucking hour and a half and show these aliens with close-ups. Not only just like are they teasing them, they're fucking they're going into their eyes, and it's like you're almost like you're having a moment with this alien because you're eye to eye. It's like they're zooming in and shit. I like the beginning the most because that legit made me feel uncomfortable, and I think that's the good thing about this movie is that it captures that well, like the feeling of like intruders being in your house. Not that I've ever known that, but I'd imagine I'd be shitting my pants, and the fact that it's aliens makes it 10 times more terrifying. Still a little disappointed though. I'm going to be honest with you, man, because I thought it had so much potential, and the CGI really just kind of took me out. I don't know about you, B-Show, but the CGI kind of killed it for me. Not bad at all. Like, I recommend it. I think it was done pretty well, but the CGI just kind of took me out.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there were some scenes where, like, especially when one of the things was charging like through the bushes at her, the concept was cool because of the CG being really bad. Execution wasn't so good. But like I think John said, the daddy long legs, when she walks outside and she realizes that they're all over like the neighborhood, and she turns and looks, and that big fucking praying mantis thing comes up over the house.
Oh my god!
And just I was like, holy shit!
Fuck yeah, that looked good.
Because like Shah, I was like, oh, these things look okay, but it's bad CG. And then as soon as I saw that, I'm like, whoa, that's impressive. I did pick up. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying they had moments. Yeah, that was one of those.
And I know you and I were up late texting about it after we watched. It's funny. All three of us watched the movie opening night at the same time.
And by the way, Joe Punches, I think, watched it that night. Drew Yari may have watched it a lot of people we know watched it that night. A lot of people were watching it that night.
It reminded me of like back when a big movie would, this is the first time it's going to be shown on NBC on the Saturday night movie or Sunday night at the movies, and everyone's watching it. It was pretty cool, like an event type of thing. One thing I wanted to mention was I know there's been some debate about the end of the movie, and I know Shaheen and I were up, talking about it. Were you guys following what was going on during the movie? And like, toward the end why things went the way they went?
Before we get to that, let me just give you my 2 cents in the movie.
Yeah.
I had to go back and watch it the next day, and I recommended that to you guys that night because I stayed up late to watch it, and I needed to see it again. It's only an hour and 28 minutes or something like that. I watched it again the next day, and I think if you watched it again, I agree with you on the aliens. I didn't like that we saw them so much. The medium-sized ones were the worst looking ones. The smaller ones looked okay, and the daddy long legs were horrifying. They were fucking disturbing. They just looked like nightmarish, like something out of a fucking like cocaine fueled nightmare. That being said, the movie is fascinating. It's a fascinating fucking movie because one thing we need to point out here is there is there is less than 9 sentences, I think, in the entire film. And they're almost all exuded by the one person. There is no speaking in the film. It is largely carried by a very talented actress who I'm familiar with because she was on Justified when she was a teenager. And she was also in one of these drug series about the drug epidemic. She's brilliant. She's like a Southern actress. I forget her name. It's like Caitlin Dever or something like that. This girl is fucking phenomenal. She's phenomenal. I mean, she's just completely dialed in. You know, she's by herself doing all this shit. But there's also plot twists. We don't understand why nobody likes her. She seems very nice. We don't know if this is like a dream. We don't know if this is actually really happening. So I think the movie's fascinating. I think it's fucking fascinating. I didn't like the CG. The CG hurt it, but the film, I think, delivered in terms of the uniqueness. And now I think we could kind of flesh out this ending because the ending is really the thing that I think a lot of people go, I don't know if I like this or not. Shah, what did the ending mean to you? Like, as far as how did the ending change your opinion of the film? Did it hurt the film? Did it save the film?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I agree with you with the little dialogue. I think that was an interesting take on it. You know, very original, kind of artsy. Um, I saw somebody on one of these horror groups, and they mentioned that one of the most important thing and something that you don't see in cinema so much anymore is to show it and not tell it. And they thought that this approach was perfect because they had the balls to really show you the terror instead of just like building up suspense and giving us quick jump scare here and there. And it's 20 minutes of buildup. You know, you saw the fucking aliens the whole movie.
Oh yeah, the whole time.
You were right there from 2 minutes in. You're already like, holy shit, I think this is like the ending of a movie. This is already the climax. Like, where we go from here? You know,
right?
As far as the ending, obviously the aliens basically like forgave her and let her go and let her get a new start. I haven't watched it again. I only watched it one time, but I sent you guys a link that I think B Show watched, but
I watched it too. No, I watched it the next day.
There was an explanation of it, and I had to go watch that to really understand it. And
great explanation, by the way. We should probably put it on the page.
Yeah. Once I got the gist of it, or what that guy thought was the idea, anyway. Because again, this is just his take. It's all perspective. Like this could be completely something different than the actual filmmaker intended it to be. But I understood a lot more. But them forgiving her, I think that was very different. I still don't know how I feel about it. It's one of those things I got to go watch again. Mm-hmm. I do like all the symbolism in the movie that I didn't catch with like the biblical symbols and all that stuff. Like I didn't understand. I didn't catch any of that watching it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm curious to see if you guys did because I didn't catch any of that stuff that the guy was mentioning.
None of it until I watched the thing that you told me to watch.
Yeah.
B Show, your take on the ending.
So I didn't get the biblical stuff until I watched that video. So that was an interesting take. But I remember what made sense to me was watching throughout the movie. She's by herself. No one's talking to her. Everyone's giving her the stink eye. The fucking UPS guys break. Exactly. But like
talking
UPS, she's trying to interact and they're all like, fuck off.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. It kind of sunk in like she's kind of an alien to them in their world and doesn't belong. So there's that kind of juxtaposition. And then I noticed her with like the dollhouse and staging everything like this little perfect life. And at first I thought it was going to be like a Twilight Zone thing where like this is all happening in her imagination. She lives in this little town in the dollhouse. But I think what I picked up on was they had treated her like shit. She was alien to them. She had already been through so much. She was the only one, and that's the one religious thing that I didn't see it as religious, but I was like, she's the one like trying to make amends.
Right.
She's the one who's been suffering, trying to make amends, trying to reach out to people. And there's only one part where someone almost does, and then they kind of turn their back on her.
Yep.
So to that point, when they let her go, I thought it's either she fought back and they respected that, so they gave her the option to live there, or they saw that she was the alien in their community and had been
Right.
treated like shit. So let's spare her and let her be happy. However, as hard as they fought to try to like take her over, it didn't make sense to me. So the thing I texted to Shah was, it reminded me of someone who comes up with a really good idea and says, "Hey, what if we do a body snatching movie? But instead of someone being body snatched or trying to fight against the aliens and stop it from happening, they allow it to happen because it makes sense for them.
Makes
It makes them
better,
happy."
right. Yeah.
And then
right.
as they went along, like it's like they kept trying to make it happen, which is why I think that's why it kind of falls apart and there's some plot holes. But no, I thought really, really good, a fresh take because every other invasion movie we've seen, it's fighting to the end,
Boilerplate.
like even Body Snatchers, the very end, like stop it, like
Yeah.
to the end.
Yeah.
And no, really, really good. CGI was bad, but I want to
CGI.
watch it
Well,
again.
I'm not gonna say the CGI was bad because I think the daddy long legs looked dope, and if anybody even sees that, and I think the tractor beam stuff looked good. Some of that stuff looked okay. You know, she's great. I think this is probably one of the best horror performances in a long time. I mean, this is just exceptional acting. I mean, this is absolute acting. And one of the things I will say is I really was, this was like a Twilight Zone episode, or really the Outer Limits for those of us that are very old. This wrapped up like an Outer Limits or Twilight Zone episode, Shah. This didn't wrap up like a movie. This wrapped up like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, I might actually rewatch this tonight because I don't know, man. I feel like I would enjoy it more on the second time.
Yeah, I
But
did. What's
yeah,
that?
I just
89 million
honestly,
views. Is that for this? Did you scroll that? I'm sorry, Shah. What's that 288? That's not for this, is it? Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure. What were you gonna say, Shah?
I honestly think like if the CGI, if they just capitalize on what they were doing best, which is having an original approach to a not very original idea of alien invasion movie, because we have a million of these, right?
Million.
There's Area 51, Alien Abduction, Fourth
Fire in the Sky.
Yeah. Which I mean, Fire in the Sky is fucking.
It's great.
If you haven't seen
Classic.
that,
I think it's a
amazing.
mini cult classic for sure.
One of the best alien movies I've ever seen in my life.
And what was that? The Fourth Element. What's that one with the what's her face? The girl from all the Umbrella movies.
Oh, Fifth Element, Mila
Fifth Element.
Jovovich.
I like Fifth Element.
It's kind of a Blade Runner knockoff, but yeah, it's pretty good.
I like it.
The one with Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
No, not Fifth Element, guys. She's in a movie called, it's like a Close Encounters movie. It's Mila Jovovich. Someone in the chat might know it. It's not the Fifth Element. That's like a fucking.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fifth Element.
No. Mila Jovovich is in a very cool horror, like a alien abduction movie about people who were abducted. It's kind of low key.
Fifth Kind?
Fourth kind.
Yeah,
I like this movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. If you guys ever seen it, it's not a bad movie.
No, Fourth Kind is amazing.
Yeah, I liked it. I like it quite a bit.
It made me terrified of owls.
Dude, that's a good rewatch. I bet if you both rewatched the movie, we would be having a conversation about how much you liked it more than the second time. How you think it deserves a second watch, and how the elements, once you see the elements, you can't unsee them anymore. I mean, look, it's polarizing. I think it did its job. It got people talking. A lot of people were talking about it. People were making videos about it. People watched it immediately when it came out, guys, which is a big fucking step. I am curious to see where it lands in a couple of months with all the other properties coming out. If a lot of people, I have a feeling like, people are going to be talking about the performance and also the originality of the idea, B-Show. Like, this was a very original idea. I think this was incredibly unique.
I agree. It was able to pull off that Twilight Zone type of twist while still being original, which is hard to do because there's been so many different takes on all these different genre movies. I don't know. Really good. There was something I was just going to bring up and I don't remember what it was. Man, fuck. It was really good. I lost it, but no, I agree with you. Really good. I want to see it again. I was hoping it would come to me, but it's not. Oh, did you guys see the screenplays, the page for when she's stuck, like frozen in the red light?
No.
Oh my god, it's basically the whole page is filled with letters and it's hard to read it, but it's all like she can't move, 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 and then there's like a blurb of the alien comes face to face. She can't move,
Oh,
she can't move, she
wow.
can't move. It's weird and hard to read, but that's how it
Yeah.
was written in the script. It's pretty cool.
And just so people know, the guy who directed this also wrote the film. He's written quite a bit of successful horror movies. This is a first time director, by the way. This guy has written, I don't know his name offhand, but I looked him up. He's written a bunch of fairly successful horror properties, but this is his first time directing, and he directed his own film. So, kudos to him. Do we know what studio put this out to, by the way? Does anybody know who produced it? I mean, Hulu bought it. They didn't, that's the script. Wow. That is so badass. Look at this. Wow. That's the script. They put that on the internet. That's pretty cool. Well, listen, if you two guys watch it again, we'll have a deeper conversation about it. But I recommend, Shah, would you recommend people checking it out though?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you have Hulu, definitely check it out. Not a bad movie at all. I guess my expectations were so high 5 minutes in because I was like, holy shit, this is going to be fucking amazing. And then they just showed me too much and kind of turned me off. But definitely original. I appreciated that. I love the little dialogue. I thought that was amazing.
Almost none. Almost no dialogue.
That's missing from movies nowadays. I think, show us more. I agree with that statement of, don't just tell the story, show us. So,
yeah, would you recommend it too?
Absolutely. And the no dialogue, that's what I was going to say a minute ago, is to me, I don't know if that was so much just because of the way the story went. She was by herself. She had no one to talk to.
Well, her mother died. That was the thing.
Yeah,
too.
but to me, that part of it was like with the no dialogue, it made her seem even more isolated than she was. It's one thing to show people treating her like shit, but she's literally has no one to talk to through the movie, through this whole thing.
No one.
So I definitely would recommend it. I think the good points outweigh the bad points, and I believe everyone would probably benefit from a second viewing.
And I guarantee you, it might not be on any of our lists necessarily, but this is going to be in the conversation for sure. I can't see it not. Overall, between the performance, the originality of it, like the fucking, there's a very bleakness to it too. It's very bleak. I like bleak horror. I like this like worst nightmare scenario. And by the way, there's some scary elements to it too. In the house alone, she's in a big house. They're throwing her around. They're chasing her. Like, you know what I mean? It's when she's running in the woods with the fucking long leg fucking thing. That long leg thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Something about daddy long leg things. And I don't know, like something about those kind of things gross